Is oh yeah. You're on mute though. I can't hear your beautiful voice.
I muted myself on purpose. I'm gonna eat real quick.
Oh, but that's what the people want.
That's like
Yeah.
what two of Colin's cousins want. I think they're in the minority.
I put out the poll and everyone comes back saying yes. And
Oh
it's more
yeah.
than two people.
Well, what are you eating?
Chicken, rice, and broccoli, the usual.
That's the if Cajun spiced veggies is the math, then chicken, rice, and broccoli is the Ethan.
Exactly. Yes, exactly right. We are creatures of habit, apparently.
Yeah, except I had beef stew tonight.
Oh,
Yeah,
there you go. Is
it's
that
good.
the same batch from last week?
Yeah, I still have a buttload in the fridge right now.
Yeah. I kind of want to try this Matt Root beef stew next time I come to town.
Oh, absolutely. I've
Yeah.
I've had to tweak it a little bit because old wives' tale. If you ever over salt a soup, you're supposed to put a potato in there.
Oh, yeah, yeah.
And so I think by putting like 2.5 times the potato in this, it doesn't taste like it was very seasoned at all. So I've got to like after the fact add seasonings before I reheat it. That was so whoops. I got a little potato crazy in there.
Do you feel like it tastes better when you reheat it, like because it's had time to like kind of like the meat tastes better because it's like everything that's in the stew tastes better because it's seeped in, like all the
No, I mean I simmer it on the stove for like 2 or 3 hours. So
yeah.
I think it's already incorporated, to use a phrase from my brother.
Incorporated.
So I mean I've been experimenting. I've been adding a little tonight. It was a little bit of garlic salt and a little bit of Frank's Red Hot. Give it a little bit of salt flavor and some spice. That did the trick tonight.
Nice.
I just feel like soup and stew is one of those things that could legitimately taste better heated up a second time around, like chicken wings. I feel like are like that. Like a chicken wing that's heated up. I don't know if it's because like the sauce soaks into the breading or whatever it is, but it's so good.
That disappointed face is because I just opened my beer, and instead of hearing that nice, I call it a crisp, but that sound of like the beer opening, no sound. Go check the audio, listeners. There was no sound, which means that this is probably a still beer, which sucks. And it's from Aslan, Ethan. I'm a little pissed off because this was an expensive bottle.
Yeah, that's not acceptable from a because they're not cheap ever.
This was the second beer that I've had from that was still.
Wow.
And yep, nothing. No, not even the hint of a little fuzzy head there.
Now, do you think that could have been on purpose?
No. If it was on purpose, they would say it would be a still beer. They would come out and say it.
Because I know some of the stouts that I've had in recent years, some of like the newer, fancier stouts, some of them do come out with like barely any head at all, and are like pretty watery.
Very, 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 very lightly carbonated. Yeah. But you still always should hear that sound when you open it up.
Okay.
So you're not going to drink that beer?
No, I'm going to drink it. I'm going to drink probably at least the glass I just poured. There's too much stuff in there for me not to. It's a imperial stout aged in bourbon barrels with vanilla, coconut marshmallows, cocoa nibs, brownie mix, and cookie dough.
Wow. Jesus Christ.
Oh yeah.
How do you like balance that? And how do you balance that many flavors? Like this is like, we don't have to go into like the weeds on this, but Matt is like the person who understands the process and who loves the beer so much. Like, doesn't that seem like that's just too much?
Yeah. Depending on the temperature that's served, and your palate, you can taste different things.
Okay.
For example, like the flavor of beer will change as it warms up. So certain things may express themselves at different times. So that's why some beers will actually see a temperature suggestion where you should what you should drink it at. Side hint, that's also why a lot of your yellow American beer, they want you to serve it ice cold like the Rockies because you taste less. So drink a warm Coors next time and taste everything. You won't.
Yeah, it's fucking disgusting.
But I don't know. I'll probably, looking at this, maybe I'll get some brownie mix and chocolate.
Yeah.
It's kind of,
Well, report back in a few minutes after you're a few sips in. I'd be curious.
Yeah.
No.
Oh man. You get some music going here, Colin? Or
What's on the docket, boss? Yeah.
Well, Matt was talking about his beer. I've got a Matt Root beer too.
Nice.
From the boss himself. This is a Alien Shake Extra Vanilla Reptoid. Is that how you say it?
Yeah.
Milkshake IPA. Matt knows I'm a big milkshake IPA guy.
Yeah. What are you doing drinking that now? Same with that unrefined you checked in a couple days ago, man. It's got to drink them fresh.
What do you
Drink
mean?
them fresh.
What do you mean?
Yeah. Explain it, Matt. He doesn't know. Explain it.
So if it's an IPA, you generally, for the best flavor, want to drink it within a 2-month window.
How long have I had this?
Check the bottom of the can. What's it say?
Well, I haven't had it since 11/2/21, but it says 11/2/21.
But I did send it to you at the end of November.
Damn.
So just pro tip, learning experience. It's not that older than that. I mean, it still could taste completely fine. But with IPAs, especially with the hoppier ones, the longer they sit in a can, the more of an opportunity they have to oxidize. And that's where you'll lose that really, really citrusy, fruity, floral flavor. The later it gets, if you ever get an IPA that's like half a year old, Colin, that tastes like wet cardboard, that's what it is. You're not tasting the actual IPA. You're just tasting the old.
Okay.
So you always want to shoot for, I try to do 2 months or less. If a company is really, really, really good with their canning operation, meaning they're getting a perfect seal, they're blasting the can with CO2 first to displace the oxygen, they're getting a really, really good fill all the way up to the top to displace any gas. Then like there's some breweries out there that do a really good job with their canning and they can last longer. And that's not to say, I mean, you'll still see a lot of breweries say, hey, this is good for the next 6 months. But if you want to get that truest, hoppiest deliciousness, try and do it within two months of the born on date.
Now, Matt, does that apply also to West Coast IPAs, or is this more for like the New England hazy stuff?
I'd say the New England hazy stuff is more susceptible to it, but it applies to most all hoppy beers.
It does. Okay.
Yep.
Okay.
But now, Colin, the caveat there is Colin's drinking a vanilla, lactose, sugared up milkshake IPA, which you're still going to get that nice sweetness and that nice vanilla out of it. So I'm betting that still tastes pretty good. You're just not going to get the hops that are supposed to be in there too. So,
okay. Yeah, it definitely still tastes good.
Yeah. And that's the thing, it's, I guess, like I said, after 2 months, there's plenty of good beers out there, but let me put it this way. Your probability of having something that doesn't taste right starts increasing after that 2-month point.
Yeah.
If that makes any sense.
All right.
Yeah.
Fair enough. Lesson learned. Thank you, Mr. Root.
Beer masterclass with Matt.
I'm just happy to start playing the Matt's talking too long music.
Do we have music for that?
Colin will put on like the background music.
Oh, just the background music when one of us is like rambling on forever. Yeah. Just put on like just like real simple, like
You should put on that exact recording that Ethan just had.
If I wasn't laughing in the background, we'll have to get a clear clean cut.
Man.
All right. And before I'm done with my beer, Matt saw this when we were speaking before recording. This is my beer glass.
Fuck.
Yeah. For those who are listening, this is a beer glass with the 2 jocks and a schlub logo on it. It comes from family friend of the pod, Aunt Kayla. It was part of one of my Christmas presents from her. So she's really she like when Stella was born, she's got like a, I don't know, she's gonna hate me for butchering this, but some type of machine that like she made Stella some onesies that had like SU stuff on them, Penn State stuff on them, and everything. And she gave me a 4-pack of these nice beer glasses, and on one of them was this logo. So
very
damn,
nice.
Aunt Kayla fucking killed it.
Yeah.
Yep. Yep. So shout out Aunt Kayla.
Nice. Awesome.
What else we got, boys? Matt's running the show today, by the way, Ethan.
Matt's running the show today. Really?
Yes.
Colin's just depressed because of the state of Major League Baseball. So I had like 2 or 3 ideas I was latching onto. So
I have 2 things I want to talk about.
Well, Colin, no intro music. Are we going to do or are we just going to go?
Do you want to?
I mean, we've already been talking for like 7 minutes at this point. I don't think it's worth it.
Well,
yeah, but Matt knows sometimes they talk even longer on the Scrubs rewatch show, and
is that right?
They still play the music.
Yeah.
So
I haven't been listening to that in a while. I got to catch up. After the last live show episode, I haven't listened. I've been going down the Codex Delera rabbit hole.
Nice. Yeah.
So I'm almost at the end of the 5th book. So
I enjoyed those very much. Yeah.
The First Lord just died for all of you out there. So
this is a fantasy series by my favorite author, Jim Butcher, and he wrote my favorite series of all time called The Dresden Files, which I converted Matt to, and Matt listened to all of those and I think really liked them, and now Matt's reading the other big Butcher series, Codex Alera.
Yeah, it's great because it's almost like a green eggs and ham type bet. Like Jim Butcher was asked, like, given a super ridiculous concept and asked if he could write a book series about it. I think they told him like Roman soldiers and Pokemon. And that's where he came up with the concept. Not anywhere near like Pokemon, but some aspects of it where it's like, all right, they've got these elemental beings or creatures or forces they can manipulate. So it's kind of cool. I'm enjoying it quite a bit.
Yeah.
But anyway, so I've been sucked down that hole. I've got one more book after this.
Nice.
So I'm making my way through that.
Awesome.
But I got some conspiracy theories, at least one.
Oy vey.
Well, we'll go over 2. Let's go over 2 because I discussed one with Colin about Pete Alonso. But the first one, Ethan, there's a shadowy organization that every, say, January exerts their control over the populace of the United States. They're a faux paramilitary organization. They're involved in media, and they're involved in mass food production. I'm talking about the Girl Scouts. I swear they time the release of cookies perfectly every year at the exact point that 99% of America is giving up on the resolutions. Like just that sound that you heard yesterday was 99% of America going, oh, fuck, Girl Scout cookies are out. Because I swear to God, that was like the first thing I thought is like, well, I'm only trying to be healthier around beer. But like, if I was, hitting the gym and really, really trying to get healthy, 3 weeks into the new year, boom, got to get those do-si-dos and
Samoas.
And every year they come out with a sinister new flavor. Like this year, it's a sea salted caramel brownie cookie thing that just,
whoa.
Of course, I had to get 1 box just to experiment and see what it tastes like.
Holy crap!
So yeah, it's like a brownie cup with caramel in the middle, and
definitely about to get those.
Yeah. So shout out to the Girl Scout. I bought some cookies from my former boss's daughter's troop up in Solon, Ohio. Shout out. Thank you for the cookies. I'm looking forward to them. The other
wait before you move on. Pandemic Toddy last year bought so many Girl Scout cookies that we still had them in December, like a month ago.
Wow.
I remember some at Memorial Day.
Oh, I'm sure. I was just trying to give them away at one point. I mean, I love them and everything, but we just had so many.
It's sneaky too, because if you're buying them online, it's like you must buy at least 4 boxes for us to ship them to you.
Yeah, right. Yeah. Otherwise, they get me at the Harris Teeter right by our house. They like set up shop right outside there, and I'll be like, those entrepreneurs, can't turn them down.
Yeah, paramilitary organization with their badges and their leadership hierarchy and their troops.
That's right.
Well,
in the future, Stella will be a Girl Scout, so you can buy cookies directly from her.
Okay, that's fine. As long as they have the right kind of s'mores cookies. I learned this last year. Apparently, there's like 2 different bakeries that make them. So depending on where you order them in the country, you get different styles of like couple of the cookies.
Wow.
Yeah.
That is interesting.
Because I tried the s'mores last year from Ohio and was like, oh man, these are great. So I bought them outside a grocery store here this year, and I was like, what the hell? These are different.
Matt,
I don't like them.
Matt, that seems like a conspiracy within the conspiracy.
I think so.
Yeah, absolutely.
JFK Jr. is gonna show up in Dallas, everyone.
Where his father got murdered.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, the newest one was at the Arizona rally. It was actually JFK in disguise. He dressed up like Trump and had prosthetic makeup on because the Trump that was on stage was shorter than actual Trump.
Is that a real conspiracy theory?
Yes. Yes.
How do you find out about this shit? What websites have you been going to?
News sites, CNN.
Jesus fucking Christ.
And yes, before anyone says, I know there are plenty of people who say CNN isn't news too. I look at a whole host of different sites. But that was the one.
Okay. No. Hold on a second. Sorry. I'm like
you
very.
said your conspiracies weren't gonna send him on a rant.
Did you guys talk about this beforehand?
Yeah.
I'm not ranting about the conspiracies. So, and I'm like all tired today. I wasn't planning on getting all like fired up, but I have to acknowledge this. Matt, you just mentioned like using CNN as a source. And then you like apologized for CNN, like to any potential listeners who like don't view CNN as valid. You like apologize to them. If we have any listeners who think of CNN as not valid, like you're a fucking idiot. Like it's a centrist news source, but these are actual reporters. Reporters have real jobs. They have real standards. These are not people who are just making shit up. I'm not saying I love CNN. I don't. I'm a fucking leftist. I don't love CNN. But this idea that like reporters are not some real job and they can just write whatever the fuck they want. That is like what Trump has convinced people in the last 5 years. Now, for Newsmax and OAN and Breitbart, yeah, they can write whatever the fuck they want. But for actual news organizations, CNN, New York Times, Washington Post, Wall Street Journal, whatever, there are actual like professional standards. These people can't just make shit up. In op-ed, they can say what they want. But in actual reporting, there are standards. So I hate this idea that we feel like we have to like cater to other people's ideas about like, oh, this news and that news and this news and that news. No, like there's real reporting, and sure, there are slants. There are some of these organizations are a little bit more liberal, some are a little bit more conservative. But actual reporting is actual reporting.
Thank you. I was not, thank you for clarifying. I was not saying that CNN was, but yes.
Sorry.
Chris Wallace versus Tucker Carlson. Chris Wallace is fucking news. Tucker Carlson's a fucking dipshit white supremacist who likes asking questions that are just.
Yeah. Sorry, you didn't say anything like particularly heinous or anything, but it was just the hint of it was there enough that I felt like I needed to say this because in case we have any listeners who like have over the last few years started to doubt journalism, or if they have fallen under the sway of this sort of like mass idea that has been, becoming more and more popular, you need to reconsider, and you need to understand that they are working their job just like you, and they have standards they have to meet just like you. They can't just make shit up, at least not in these big ones that we're talking about. So our listeners probably don't need to hear that, but I couldn't help it. I'm sorry. Like I just felt it. I felt it in my chest. And if I didn't get it out, I was going to be like, I don't know. I was going to be like awake and crazy for the next 3 days. So
I really appreciated that rant. That was a good one. That was a really good one. So
Matt, this is the best part about hosting the show is like, you have to try to remember everything that you wanted to get to while Ethan just rants into the microphone for 10 minutes straight.
That's fine. I do. Can I go to the other conspiracy theory though?
Yes, please. Yeah, you're the boss tonight, right? This
one is more. It's got a sports tilt to it. So we're in the middle of a giant standoff between the union and the Players Association and the owners in the major leagues, and there's tons of back and forth now. So there's coordinated attacks on the owners by the Players Association. You can see the Twitter activity is coordinated on certain areas to go after the owners or go after Manfred. There are coordinated attacks by the owners on the players. The thing I was telling Colin about earlier is there was an article about the MLB.com and the MLB hiring a reporter specifically to write articles about how great the union has it and how strong the union is and like how great the conditions are for players and how it's the best place to work ever. Meanwhile, the fact that their payrolls we're down to 2015 levels this year, while the league makes more and more money than they ever have ever. So there's back and forth, but there was one attack or allegation leveled by Pete Alonso that I thought was, I mean, it sounds too sinister, but it's also one of those like, I don't believe it, but it could be plausible. And I know this is like how people start down like QAnon holes too, but so here we go. 2019 to 2021, the juice balls controversy. In the middle of it all, and I can't remember the exact date, MLB did come out and say, we have found some differences between baseballs. While they were all still in tolerance, some of them were not wound tightly or wound too tightly, or the core was heavier. There was some difference they found that basically let 2019 baseballs be juiced and led to higher home run rates versus 2021 balls being less aerodynamically active and not, resulting in fewer home runs. And what Pete Alonso is alleging is that was done on purpose. The MLB was going to say this was all within our tolerances for a standard baseball, but Pete Alonso says it's on purpose. He said in 2019, there was such a fantastic crop of free agent pitchers coming to the market. Think Garrett Cole, think all the other people I can't think of right now, Garrett Cole and company, that the major leagues wanted to purposely drive up pitchers' ERAs by increasing home runs and increasing offense that year to decrease the amount of money that pitchers could get and decrease their leverage in free agency. Subsequently, they then altered the baseball to decrease its aerodynamic capability so that it would decrease offense and decrease home runs to hurt the earning capability and earning potential of the large crop of slugging shortstops and other free agents hitting the market this year. He is alleging that was a coordinated move by the majors, by the owners, in order to keep salaries down. Do you guys have any thoughts?
Okay, so first of all, I think that we need to get a sound capture of Matt's baseball official voice, representative of Major League Baseball voice. That was we have to have that voice for something.
I don't know if I can even do it again right now.
I know, it was really good though. I really enjoyed it. It's hilarious. I actually agree with what you said in your preface to this whole thing. I do think it's plausible. I generally do not go in for conspiracy theories at all, but I do think it's plausible. Whether it was a true conscious decision on MLB's part or whether it was just incompetence on their part. Because one thing we've learned about like Major League Baseball, not just in our lifetimes, but just by studying its history, the people who run baseball are fucking idiots, and they pretty much have been, like, for all of history. Like baseball, the fact that baseball succeeds and is still a major sport is in spite of its administration. The administration doesn't help it. It's in spite of the administration, right? That which just tells you that baseball is like a wonderful game, and that people like us and everything just have such a deep love for it that we can handle the fact that it's like run by morons, and that every 5 years we have a new fucking scandal that consumes us for 3 years, So I don't know. I guess it doesn't. I guess it doesn't seem as far-fetched to me because this is what really happened. You guys both know, but I don't think we talked about it on the pod. Ken Rosenthal, one of the most highly respected and admired journalists in the baseball world, was unceremoniously fired from the MLB network just a few weeks ago. And the consensus was that he wrote something. I don't know exactly what, but he wrote something that Commissioner Rob Manfred did not care for. And so just that action
Critical
on its own.
Manfred. That's a key point.
What's that?
He was critical of Manfred.
He was critical of Manfred.
It wasn't just some random topic.
He was critical of Manfred directly, right? But here's the thing about Kenny Rosenthal. For those who haven't read him, like his writing, I don't actually love his writing because it's very, very just like straight and to the point. It's just like a recitation of facts. But that's good. Like he's good at his job. But like I don't find at least the stuff I've read is not as exciting or engaging. But that's what makes this crazier. Like there's no chance Kenny Rosenthal is not writing some article saying stuff about Rob Manfred that I would say, right? Like I might say, Rob Manfred's a fucking idiot. He fucking sucks. Ken Rosenthal is not writing that. Like he is a really classy guy. He wears his lovely bow ties on national television. Like he's awesome. He is beloved throughout the game. And so the fact that the commissioner got criticized and then he was fired, like that tells you kind of the state of the fucking administration of this game. So all of that to say that, you can't go in for a conspiracy theory just on that alone. But I do think that that's indicative of the fact that like the people running baseball are like stupid enough and insecure enough to maybe do some nefarious bullshit like that. Like I don't think it's maybe as far-fetched as it should be. That's my thought, Kyle. Oh yeah.
Oddly enough, there's rumors out there that after a particularly combative interview with Dan Lebitard, Manfred also tried pulling strings at ESPN to get Lebitard fired.
Hilarious. What a fucking
now Lebitard went right after him. I mean, Lebitard
doesn't fuck around. I like Lebitard.
Yeah, he did not pull punches.
Well, he has like his own thing now, so
yeah,
I think he can say what he wants. Yeah,
he's a good one. Colin, your thoughts?
2 words: capital preservation.
Yeah.
The owners, that's all they care about.
Yeah,
is money.
Well, not just preservation, growth, right? Growth of their own pockets, no matter what it means for anybody else, right? Yeah. 100%. That is all it is for them.
Yeah. So for me, it's not even really a conspiracy. It's like, I'm sure there were owners that wanted this to happen, that wanted pitchers to fail heading into the 2020 free agency, that wanted hitters to fail heading into 2021, because time and time again, it has been proven in a court of law, even and over the course of history, that owners suppress salaries to make money. So, I mean, it doesn't sound crazy to me. I mean, it's amazing how he kind of pieced it all together. Like, that part of it is pretty incredible. But when you really think about it, it's not all that surprising, because the owners don't care. And I don't know. I'm so, as Matt alluded to, I'm really sad and depressed about how this baseball offseason has gone. And I have like a slight hope of they're gonna figure shit out in the next week or two in spring training. But
when are pitchers and catchers supposed to report this year, if everything was good?
Like around it's always around my birthday, so it's
always around your birthday, mid February. So we're talking about probably just a little bit under a month. Yeah. Now I'm doubtful. I'm doubtful
it's coming back. I have a silver bullet that may kind of disprove Pete Alonso's tinfoil hat theory. And that is, if they really, really wanted to hold down offense this year, they wouldn't have implemented the pine tar or the sticky stuff, spider tack rules mid-season.
Right.
But that also just would have been.
But I think it was late in the game that they Manfred couldn't ignore it.
Exactly. It had gotten so bad. And that you're talking about capital preservation or just preservation of the game in general. It had gotten so bad that just all strikeouts and walks and homers, as we've talked about. And this is still a problem baseball has to figure out. The sticky stuff alone was not the only cause. But it had gotten bad enough. Like, something needed to fucking be done. When
that was only in June. Remember, that was June.
Yeah, it's insane. Yeah. But when everybody and their half brother is throwing 100, whereas 20 years ago when we were kids, nobody threw 100, right? Mid 90s, maybe Randy might have hit it occasionally. But I remember I remember in the 2000s when Joel Zumaya had his couple big years with the Tigers as a reliever, he was a huge deal as hitting 100 on the reg. He was huge deal for that. But now everybody fucking throws 98 to 100. Starters, relievers. These sliders that we're looking at are unbelievable. Don't get me wrong. I think athletes now are better than they've ever been. But when you see pitching like that, you gotta think, okay, there's a little something. And Trevor Bauer, we know that there's lots of legal issues, and we're not going to touch that right now until we know more. But he had this thing on Twitter last year where he had this really good short video. He was like, MLB, I got a question for you. Is this legal or illegal? He has a baseball. He holds it like this with his hand straight out and the ball hanging, and it just sticks to his hand. It does not drop. It does not drop from the bottom of his hand. And that was not even from the spider tack shit.
Sweat and resin, right?
Yeah.
Or rosin.
Yeah, sweat and rosin, exactly. So that's fact. So you figure if the ball can already get that sticky just from sweat and rosin, my God, what is spider tack and whatever other shit gonna do? That's how we are seeing these fucking pitches that we're seeing.
Yeah.
Anyways.
What's really interesting about all the spider stuff and the sticky stuff is David Cohn, who we all adore, and shout out to him for getting that Sunday Night Baseball
slot. Fuck yeah.
He is adamant that he would have never touched it, that he didn't use anything. And then they had they just had someone on who's currently pitching. He pitches for the A's. He's one of the A's best pitchers. He got hurt. He got hit with a line drive. I can't remember what his name is. He doesn't use anything. He's like, you can just throw away the rosin bag. Like, I don't touch anything. And I think it's a very small percentage of pitchers that like don't use anything and just rely on the New Jersey mud that the bat boy in the clubhouse
mud.
does. Oh, Mississippi, whatever. But yeah, it's just interesting that like you would think it's an obvious tactical advantage, but you have people in the game currently and people who pitched really, really well for a long time in baseball who are like, I would never touch that stuff.
Yeah, but also, I mean, I'm going to say it's been around for longer than just these 2 years. I still remember 7 or 8 years ago, Clay Buchholz putting sunscreen on in the dome in Toronto. Like, what are you wearing sunscreen for there, bud? Why are you dousing it all over your arms and then mixing mud in it with your forearm? Like,
hey, I met Clay Buchholz at Daisy Dukes in Syracuse.
That's right. I remember that.
Wait, what?
Hilarious.
He was on a rehab, pitching for Pawtucket, and he was at Daisy Dukes. I was with Dan LeDuc, and of course Dan LeDuc knew like right away, and he bought us around. We talked to him for like 20 minutes. Nobody else knew who he was. We just hung out with him.
That's kind of cool.
Yeah. He had every opportunity to Nancy Kerrigan him or Tanya Harding him or whatever. Whoops. Sorry. No, man. He wasn't a Red Sox forever, so I guess.
Yeah. And he wasn't even that great, right?
No,
I mean,
he had like 2
couple
good
solid years, but
yeah. Anyone else got any conspiracy theories?
I don't have any conspiracy theories off the top of my head now.
Since I'm driving, I'm going to move to shout outs right now because I don't want to forget them. So I forgot last week. Shout out to the Vicks out in Cleveland. I mentioned once before, board game weekend was this past weekend, and they were killing it. I saw that. I mean, they've made their own board games. They go to Gen Con, the board game convention, or Gen Con, every year. Or they used to go every year before things went away. They even they've got an app to track what games you play and what you want to play, and it just I don't know. I miss it. I only went over 1 year, but it was so much fun, even for someone who was not that involved in board games. Like they were knowledgeable enough to like match games to my skill level. Like, oh well, we'll have fun playing this since you don't really know what you're doing. It's like that's not what they said, but it was a lot of fun. So shout out. I hope board game weekend went well. I miss you guys. And number 2, we got to put this in the Instagram link. Shout out to Hank Hershey down in the Bayou. I'm rocking the Hank's Bait Shop t-shirt.
That's a great shirt.
So Henry, I went to college with him. He's one of those guys that's just like good at everything. Like he was a Superior Crew athlete. He looks like a young Sylvester Stallone. He could like Ethan. You like him because you just walk in the room and pick up a banjo and start playing and singing, or like walk over to the piano and start like, bloop, 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 bloop. I'm really good at piano and singing. Yeah. But he's also an incredibly good artist. So he's doing graduate work down in, I think, Alabama or Mississippi. I don't know, some sort of preservation or ecology work, but he started the company called Hank's Fish Art, and that's kind of morphed into Hank's Bait Shop, which is not an actual bait shop. It's just his apparel brand, where he's doing logos and apparel. And I mean, he's got lots of drawings of fish too, but he's got some really, really cool stuff out there. So I wanted to give him a shout out.
Yeah, I'm going to look this shit up. It sounds pretty fun.
Yeah. He's awesome guy. Like I said, great. He's that guy that like does a summer internship in Alaska, like helping salmon spawn, and then like messages you like, hey, anyone want some salmon? I'm like vacuum packing and shipping it back to New Jersey, and just let me know. And like not even asking for any money, just showed up in my room one day with like 30 pounds of wild Alaskan salmon. Like, here you go. Like, holy shit, I didn't even know what to do with it. So I gave it to my mom and said, let's figure out how to cook this.
Yeah.
So awesome guy. Miss you, Hank. Hope you're doing well. Visit Henry's or visit Hank's Bait Shop. Yeah. Anyone else got some shout outs though?
I don't have shout outs. I have 2 things I want to talk about at some point, 2 non-sports things, but all right. No shout outs off the top of my head. We got Ethan's stuff and then I've got the Big Ben conversation. You want to talk about that first, or your stuff first, Ethan? Let's do Big Ben. Yeah. My shit's more laid back. We'll do that later. Yeah.
So we had an interesting discussion earlier this week. Um,
Who's we?
basically,
I think me and you had an interesting discussion, and Ethan felt like he needed to correct us on what we were talking about.
well,
Okay,
let's
I
hear.
was busy doing shit, and I just was able to chime in really quickly.
Well, then
here.
you guys should fill the time now instead of me. But basically, the question I posed was, Big Ben was good at football.
For those who don't know, Big Ben is Ben Roethlisberger, the quarterback for the Steelers.
Soon to be retiring quarterback for the
Yep.
Steelers, most likely. He was pretty good at playing football, but not much else. And he had two really high-profile sexual assault and rape cases against him in the early,
Was it 2008, 2010, something like that?
2008, 2010, yeah. And yet his career survived. And what I wanted to add, and I mean, these were fairly credible accusations too. Settlements happened. There were witnesses. Things happened.
Yeah, there's no big settlements happening if there wasn't like some fucking shit that went down. Like
so if this happens today, does he still, in today's era, in today's climate, does he still have a career? And is he still remembered as fondly as he is? You know, that was kind of the question I posed.
Yeah, and I think this is a really great question, and I definitely want Carl to talk about what he was saying in the text thread, because I think Carl had a really good point. My inclination is that the answer to both would be no in the modern climate. I think it's weird. It's always weird to kind of talk about this, and I know I mentioned this in the texting. I do think there are degrees to this kind of stuff when we're talking about degrees of severity, right? And I mean, it seems like sexual assault on its own probably, that's egregiously bad enough that should be it for somebody, right? But I don't think it always is. I mean, I think there are so many people across sports who have had sexual assault, including Domingo Germán and Aroldis Chapman, right? We on our Yankees. Sexual assault stuff all over the place, and that does not seem to be enough even now to ruin these people's careers. So I don't think it's the assault part. I think the rape one is the one that might have done it. I think there's just like something different. Who knows with the details of the case? They might have been relatively similar, but I think when you start talking about actual rape, when you just that word, it's on its own has so much more, I think, like emotional baggage, and rightfully so. And so I feel like with that, maybe that would have been the kicker, because clearly sexual assault on its own is still not the kicker, at least in sports. We've seen like in Hollywood and in music and stuff like that it has like just boom, people's careers have just dropped off the cliff. But in sports, that hasn't been the case. But I wonder if the rape would be enough. But the one other thing I want to say about the second point, Matt, about him being fondly remembered, what's weird about it is like, we know these things, and my understanding from what I have been reading and listening to is that he's basically been having a farewell tour the last couple weeks, and people like broadcasters and shit are talking about him very, very fondly. And it's like, I understand that all this shit happened before Me Too, but we are now several years after the Me Too era, right? Or into the Me Too era. And so you would think that like somebody as high profile as this, that people would remember that this is like part of his past, and that maybe the farewell tour and all this talk about him should not be so glowing and loving, but it has been. And so that I think is more to, I assume, what Colin is going to talk about, which is to say that as a society we seem to be a little bit more forgiving for athletes. But Colin, I want to let you get into that if you want to.
Yeah, I don't even know if it's necessarily as a society. I think it's just when there's it's supply and demand. Like when you're the 1%
a lot of money to be made,
1%,
yeah,
and you need a quarterback to play, like you're gonna get that chance. I mean, we've seen it. So like you mentioned it, Ethan, like
Chapman.
Well, to a certain degree. Well, no, I meant like outside of sports, maybe in Hollywood. Harvey Weinstein is an obvious example that comes to mind. This wasn't sexual assault, if I remember correctly, but Jonah Carey, domestic violence.
Domestic violence, right?
That he's in sports, per se, but he was a sports writer.
He was big though,
and his career's destroyed,
gone.
So like, it for me, it's the main difference is the talent.
Yeah,
like that is the difference. Like even in Hollywood, and I understand there's like, as actors and actresses and producers and so on and so forth, there's like a certain talent that needs to be had to be successful and be on the big screen and all that type of stuff. But when it comes to athletics, like that is such a different animal. Like you got to stay healthy, you got to be mentally tough, you got to, these guys and girls, because eventually this is gonna come out against women in the future too. It's just like it's not giving them a free pass, but it's almost like, what else are they supposed to do if they want to stay competitive?
Well, put it like who started week 17 or week 18 for the Giants? Jake Fromm,
Glennon and Fromm. Yeah.
So if think about it this way, and this is why after you made this point the other day, Colin, I don't remember the backup back then. Was it Brian Maddox? Maybe. Like if those allegations were against Brian Maddox, he'd be gone. Like he'd be scrubbed from the team. He'd be gone.
Yeah. Because you can replace him, but you can't replace.
But it's the 1% of 1%. That's what got me thinking that. Well, if it's Big Ben, well, he made, as Brian Greasy said the other night on the broadcast on Monday night. Well, he had some bad judgment. Like no,
some bad judgment.
Like he raped. Right. Fuck.
It's the same. It's the same reason why I said Deshaun Watson's going to be a starting quarterback next year. Like they're right. Obviously like there are differences now, I think, than there were. When like Ray Rice happened and before Me Too, like, at least the league, like Watson barely played this year. They were like, all right, whatever, like you have to get your legal shit figured out and then maybe you can play, whatever. So it does. I mean, these are just some football examples. And then obviously we were talking about Kobe and, that was before Me Too and before social media even, with everything. And it's happened in baseball and coaches, players, like it seems like it's an everyday occurrence, unfortunately.
Now, but I have a follow-up question, Kyle, once you're done. Sorry.
Yeah, no, I'm at the end of the day, for me, it just comes down to that 1%. It's just, that is why it seems like we're forgiving. And, I think, maybe fans could be forgiving, but like the reason that owners are forgiving is because they don't want to start a Jake Fromm or a Mike Glennon if they don't have to at quarterback. And in the league doesn't really want that too. I mean, let's be honest, we just talked about in baseball with the conspiracy, like they don't want those crap players playing either. They want the big stars out there because that drives revenue. So that it all supports a Band-Aid or a slap on the wrist, with any type of behavior.
Yeah. So, okay. So my kind of follow up then to all of this, and I don't think we've talked about this before, so I'm really curious what you guys think. What is the line in terms of when we would, like, from a moral standpoint, like truly forgive these people and feel good about playing them again? So for instance, if Ben Roethlisberger has to pay like a $10 million settlement, or who knows what the money is. I think the money figure matters, but say he pays a settlement, but he doesn't miss any playing time. He doesn't have any prison time. Is that enough? Do we feel like he has served his time? In baseball, didn't Herman get like an 80-game domestic violence suspension? Isn't that right?
82.
60.
Yeah.
82.
Or 60?
So,
60?
60. Okay. So is that enough? Do we feel like he served his time and we can fully forgive him and we can root for him and feel morally good about it? Like, where is the line? And I would really love to hear from any of our female listeners, and especially the Schlubina who works in professional sports. I really would love to hear what she thinks about this. But like, because none of these people, chances are, right? Because at this point, we believe women. We know that women are not going to come forward in these situations and make shit up. We know how brutal it is. Women are still constantly attacked when they come forward in these situations. It sounds absolutely horrible. So we believe women, right? So these people, these men who are doing, whether it's sexual assault, whether it's rape, domestic violence, it's fucking crime. And they are not serving time. They're not serving any prison time, nothing. Paying some settlements, maybe getting suspended from their sport. When do we feel like they have served an acceptable amount of time, like, and they can now be re-brought into society and we can feel good about it? Is there a line? Where is it?
Well, and just for context, remember if I'm remembering the article correctly, after Ben's second incident, the NFL had to kind of pretend they had a conduct policy in place, and Ben was suspended 4 games, but I believe it was cut in half because he was being on his best behavior. I don't know. There was some reason that was cut in half, if I'm remembering correctly. And what's supremely disappointing to this all, because I still don't think that 4 games is enough, Ethan, even if it isn't.
Oh yeah, no way. No way.
If it's not, litigated in court, it's still not enough. But and to Colin's point, I don't think this would happen. But my goal in an ideal situation, the NFL sees that, they realize they have a problem, they put policies in place to make sure it doesn't happen again, and maybe Ray Rice doesn't punch his girlfriend in the face and drag her onto an elevator, and that doesn't happen. But unfortunately, the depressing part is it still did, and there was a cover up for that incident too, where the NFL was trying. I mean, the only reason that ended up blowing up is because the tape got out. So like. Right. That's the depressing part, and I think that's what kind of validates what Colin says. And I don't know if you can put a number on it, Ethan. I don't know where that number. I mean, I don't want to quantify someone's.
Is it legitimate prison time? Like, is it, like, because if it was a regular member of society, right? Like you commit like a bad enough crime, you're going to go to fucking prison. So in that case, I feel like, if these big time athletes did something and they went to prison, okay, then they served their time. That's how our society is structured. You do something, you serve your time, then we give you another chance. That's how our society
that's what happened
works.
for Mike Vick, right?
Right.
Yeah. That was dog, it was animal cruelty, not rape. But.
Yeah, exactly. It's really interesting. And I agree with you, Matt. Like, I have no idea what it would be, and I really would love to hear from Hannah and from whoever about this, because I just think it's a really thorny question, and I would just be curious to hear anybody's thoughts on it. Can
I throw one more thorn in there?
Do it.
Serving your time in prison is also a requirement for that is a justice system that treats everyone equally.
True. 100%.
What was that fucktard out in Arizona's name? That white kid raping a girl behind a dumpster who didn't get prison time because they didn't want to ruin his life. Like, fuck you, kid.
I forgot about him.
Bryce or whatever his creamy white Caucasian name was.
Yeah, that was fucking devastating. That whole thing. Jesus Christ.
Sorry. Anyway.
Yeah. No, you're absolutely right. You're absolutely right.
As showrunner, we can move on from this unless you guys have any more thoughts. But
that's fine with me. And I know that whenever we get to my stuff is very lighthearted. So we'll end much less heavy.
Let's light this up. Let's pump some helium into this.
All right. So here we go. So I got 2 things on the docket for tonight. So number 1 is a continuation of pasta talk from last week. I am fucking horrified and mortified. It is a travesty how many people are apparently team ravioli. We've been seeing this on our social media, and granted, we have a relatively small community here. But everyone who has commented has been team ravioli.
Hey.
But
what?
I didn't even put a poll up for this one, and people found.
I know, and they just fucking commented. I know, and the fact. So listen, okay. Now here, this is for Cousin Greg, and I told Cousin Greg. He and I were talking about this on Facebook. I will try some homemade fucking raviolis up in northeastern Pennsylvania, especially if they have something in them besides for just cheese. I will happily try them, and I will reconsider my stuffed pasta notions. But I can't believe it. This many people are team ravioli. What the? Tortellini's just way better.
Yeah. Shout out to Lorraine Stoddard, team Stuffed Shells. I think that was the only supporter for Team Stuffed Shells to me.
Lorraine Stoddard, really?
Yeah.
Oh, that's hilarious. That's amazing.
But yeah, now, and then there's further divisions we can go here too. Like, first of all, I think toasted ravioli are garbage. So St. Louis and Wawa people who like toasted ravioli are garbage. But is a pierogi a ravioli? Because I love pierogi.
Well, so here's the thing. When you start talking about like stuffed pasta and like dumpling type things, every culture has them. So if you want to start talking about every culture, then the conversation gets out of hand because everybody has their own version. And some people are like, no, it has to be like this. It has to be like that. So I feel like that you get to diminishing returns when you get into that area.
Because then I want to get, if we're going to go that way, I want to get my friend Anna, who's like 100% Polish on the line and get some
and pierogi are fucking delicious.
Her mom's blueberry cream cheese dessert pierogi, because holy shit, that was one of the best things I've ever eaten.
Sounds
my
awesome.
God. She was like, it's a dessert pierogi. And I was like, ugh. And she was like, just eat it, you lame ass. And I did. It was great. So,
yeah.
But yeah, so I don't know. I just ravioli. Oh, like especially like all I can think of with ravioli is Chef Boyardee canned mushy slop, fake beef, Taco Bell beef in there. Like, and by the way, Chef Boyardee, pride of Cleveland. Everyone loved him. You know, they should replace all the statues in Cleveland with Chef Boyardee statues. But like that's all I can think of with ravioli. And you don't get canned mushy fake beef tortellini out there. No, tortellini is just it's just rolled deliciousness.
Yeah. And this is, well, Kyle, do you have anything else you want to say on this?
No, I stand by my original.
So I actually then have a perfect segue into my next thing, because my next thing is the latest story in the saga of the Russian girl I've been dating. And but the reason this is a perfect segue is because I talked to her about the pasta debate a couple days ago. And again, to just everybody's just, it's shit on Ethan week. She was all about team ravioli.
No.
All team ravioli. And I said, this is insane. Like the proportion of pasta to cheese, it's just way off.
Hey, that was not me.
Colin still running the soundboard, even if Matt's in charge. The proportion of the pasta to cheese, way off, too much cheese. And she was like, nuh-uh, there's no such thing. Give me all the cheese. And I imagine that's probably what some of the other team ravioli people think. So anyways, all right. Now, so the second story, or the second thing, so fans of the podcast will remember that...
Wait. Can you back up? Can you define saga?
Saga is like a long-running tale, a long-running story.
Star Wars is a saga.
Thank you.
You're welcome. So those fans of the podcast will recall that back in November, I broke my elbow ice skating. And not only that, which is shitty enough, but it was on a date. And it was on a date with this Russian girl who I've been seeing. And the good news is we're hanging out and things are better than ever. She's awesome. Like everything is really wonderful. Despite that, I was obviously like super humiliated, but she apparently didn't mind. So that's the good news. Now, this story is not quite as amusing as that, although it wasn't amusing for me. It was amusing, I think, for you guys, me breaking my elbow on a date, ice skating like a fucking schmuck. But this story, so the DC area like does not get very much snow, right? But this year we've gotten like a few snowstorms, like legit for this area, not legit for where we're from, but legit for here. And one of them was this Sunday. And we decided we wanted to go for a little winter hike, right? And she lives right next to this really nice park. And by walking through the park, you can go all the way to the Potomac River. And we wanted to do that. We thought it'd be really nice and it'd be really pretty with all the fresh snow falling and walking through the woods and just seeing, all of the fresh, pristine snow and everything. And it was great. It was beautiful. So we get all the way to the river. Now, the problem is that the roads there are just these big parkways. And by this point, we had walked 11 miles and 22,000 steps. So we didn't, so it was substantial. So we didn't particularly feel like hiking all the way back. And we kind of just wanted to get an Uber home. But the road where we were was like super inconvenient. And the snow was still coming down even worse. And it was getting dark. So all of the conditions were sort of deteriorating. It was not great. It was not ideal. But we're like, all right, let's order an Uber. We'll hope they can handle it. We'll hope they get there. We order an Uber. It says they're going to be here in 25 minutes. We're like, all right, well, it is what it is. Let's just fucking, waste our time and see if, we can survive. 20 minutes go by. I check my phone. It's canceled, gone. And then it's a new driver and it's like a new 15-minute wait. And I'm like, motherfucker. So then what we end up doing is we end up booking a new ride from Lyft, and we do one of these Lux ones, which I never ever do. I never splurge, but it's like an SUV and you can like request shit and blah, blah, blah. We didn't need any of that. We just wanted somebody to come fucking get us, right? Now, this guy, thankfully, he comes, he finds a spot on this really weird parkway. He finds a spot where we can get to him and it doesn't mess with traffic. So that was great. But I'm flustered at this point. I'm a little flustered. We've been sitting in the cold. It's dark. The snow's coming down. The cars were pissing me off. And we kind of have to run across a couple lanes of the parkway to get to the car. And as we're getting over there, I kind of like had my gloves off because I had like my phone in one hand and I needed to not be wearing a glove. So I kind of have my gloves in a hand, my phone in a hand, and then I have to like fumble around to get my mask on before I get in the car. And I'm just all flustered overall. We get in the car. Hallelujah. We made it. We start driving a couple minutes and I start like checking myself, checking the seat, looking for my phone to put it back in my pocket. And I don't find my phone anywhere. I can't find my phone. And I'm like, motherfucker. And because you guys know, I'm as neurotic as they come. Like, this shit does not happen to me. Every time I leave a fucking room, I check wallet, key, phone. Like, I touch my pockets all the goddamn time, right? Like, it's like a fucking disease, okay? So I'm so pissed at this point, just at myself. I'm just furious, right? We drive home, and thankfully, my lady friend is lovely and supportive and sweet, and she's like, "Don't worry, we'll go look for it. We'll try to find it. It's gonna be okay." And I'm like, I'm just like so pissed, right? So we get home, we brush off my car, we head back out. The roads, thankfully, by this point, even though the snow had been coming down, the highway was actually in good shape. So we get to the spot in like 10 minutes. We're walking around. She's calling it. I'm searching for it. It's pretty dark at this point. Nothing for the first couple minutes, but I'm looking around and then I see a little black rectangle in the snow. And I go closer. Sure enough, it's my phone. So not only was it my phone, it was still fucking working. Like, the call was showing up, her name and her contact photo, everything was working. The only thing that had happened was that the sound got messed up, but that was before I dropped it. So I find the phone. I'm hugely relieved. It's not totally broken. We go back home. No problem driving, right? We didn't, no problems with traffic or spinning out or anything. It was good. Put the phone in a wrap it in paper towel and put it in a bag with rice overnight to hopefully get any moisture out. And sure enough, the next morning, the sound is back to normal. Everything's back to normal. So an actual happy ending to a very stressful couple of hours. Like, it was like the worst luck ever, and then like really good luck. I can't believe that the phone is like totally fine after like having sat in the snow for like 20 minutes or half an hour, whatever it was. So yeah, it was a great hike until the last half hour or so.
This whole time I was waiting for you to be like, and then I slipped on some ice and dropped it down two flights of stairs and the screen crashed.
or like re-broke my elbow, like fell on some ice and like fell on the same elbow again. No, it was just like so fucking annoying to like drop my phone in the snow because I'm not the type of person that would do that. And the snow is shitty and they're not good at plowing here. And so I was like so pissed and so annoyed. But miraculously found my phone. So the lesson of this story for all of our listeners out there, number one, even if you're flustered, make sure you have your fucking phone. Don't let your flustering take you over. That's the first thing. The second thing is, if you do happen to drop it somewhere, or you lose it somewhere, don't despair. Give it a shot. Because I'm the most cynical, pessimistic person there is. I thought there was zero chance I was finding that fucking phone, and I found it. So don't despair if it happens to you. That's the moral of the story.
I really thought you were going to tell a story about you falling in the river. So I'm disappointed.
Well, now you're giving her ideas because she's probably going to listen to this because she wants to hear me tell this story. So next time we go on a hike, she's going to try to trick me into, just like a location. She'll probably be like, "Oh, Ethan, I bet you we could take a really nice picture right there by the shore of the river. It would be so beautiful." And we'll get over there and I'll get out like ready for the selfie with my, my wingspan. I got amazing wingspan. And then boom, shove right into the river I go. That's what's
Zoe
going to happen
Barnes
now.
style.
When you listen to this, do it.
Zoe Barnes style.
Right,
It'll make
exactly.
Great content. Please help us out.
And then as you're falling into the river, Ethan, this little voice in your head would have been saying something along the lines of, "You should have planned ahead."
Oh my God, yes. Okay, so really quick backstory for that in case people don't know. Colin loves to say that. He's been saying that to me for like our entire adult lives, going back to when we lived together. And we started living together in 2013. So this has been going on for a long time now. Whenever I'm like complaining about something or I'm annoyed about something, no matter what, even if everything I'm saying is completely valid, and I'll admit it's not always. Sometimes I'm just bitching because I like to bitch. But Colin will always say, "You should have planned ahead," and I fucking hate it. And so you're right, Colin. I probably would be hearing your voice. "You should have planned ahead."
You know what the problem with you just telling that story is, right, Ethan?
What?
I didn't know that before.
About the should have planned ahead
So,
thing? You didn't know this? Oh,
no.
I thought you knew this by now. God damn it. But the question is, can you get the tone he gets? Because that's the thing. He gets a fucking tone of voice. That's what gets me.
We'll see. I'll spring it on you when you're least expecting it.
Yeah,
This is coming from the guy who is
It'll probably work.
master planner who plans ahead for everything. So
Yeah.
the point where like when I'm on vacation with my friend Matt in Europe, he's calling me Jason Bourne because I'm like looking at all the exits, making sure I know. Like,
wait, Matt, are you trying to tell us something? Were you recruited when you were at Case and you never told us?
I mean,
I know they go after these smart nerds to be analysts and shit like that. So
just saying, even when we were blackout drunk, this guy got everyone home every night because of my forethought and planning.
It is very impressive, and that's why you were the fucking like fraternity. Weren't you like what were you, the president or whatever? The house. That
was more just like herding cats.
Oh well, all right. Well, still, you have impressive leadership and logistical skills.
Oh, well, thank you. Well, thank you. I guess that's maybe a good thing that I'm running a dirt factory then. So
exactly right.
Well, I think that might do it, guys. I don't know. I mean,
oh wait, I have one thing.
Okay.
I want to know a number 1 to 10. Matt, what's your worry-o-meter for the Packers this weekend?
Ooh, 7.
Who are they playing?
The Niners, the one team that didn't want them to play.
Where are they? In Green Bay?
In Green Bay, but
Aaron Rodgers' last game as a Packer.
7 out of 10. That's a pretty substantial worry there, dude.
Yeah, Garoppolo may not even start, which probably is going to be even worse. I mean, we barely beat him earlier this year. It's going to be a game where it's going to be 0 degrees and it's going to be like a run-focused game. Packers are getting a lot of folks back, but I'm still nervous that we won't be able to stop Deebo Samuel on the 49ers rushing attack. So yeah, I'm nervous. I'll be stressed.
Be grateful you have something to be nervous about.
Yeah, for real.
Yeah, I mean, what can I say with 3 straight 13-win seasons? I mean,
is that right? 3 straight 13-win seasons?
Yeah.
Dude, Colin, have the Giants won 13 at all, like in the last 15 years? Yeah. I know they've won like 11 or 12 a couple times.
I think they won it the year Plex shot himself.
That year was they were fucking rolling that year. Yeah, I remember I was so excited that year.
I think LaFleur is 39-10 in his first 3 seasons in the regular season as head coach.
Damn.
Yeah. I mean, you inherit Aaron Rodgers, you better be pretty good. But
yeah, true.
And Matt, no matter what happens this weekend, all you have to do is be thankful that Mike McCarthy is not your head coach.
Oh yeah. I mean, I could have told you that when they hired him. Like, holy shit. But one other fun stat that I want to bring up, thanks to my friend Matt in Cleveland, Tom Brady is older than any of the 3 potential head coaches he'll face in the NFC playoffs for the rest of the ride this year.
Holy shit.
Oh, I love that. I got such a good crack up this morning when he sent me that. I mean,
that is amazing.
I think LaFleur and McDermott, or not McDermott, Sean McVay or whatever that guy in LA are. They're like 39 or something, and Harbaugh Shanahan, excuse me, is 42. So yeah.
Oh my god! Holy
crap!
So crazy.
But the GOAT, as they call him.
Yep. Nice.
Hopefully the Packers win and there's not much to talk about next week on the pod. You can just be happy to be prepping for an NFC Championship game that we're going to win, because I'm sick of losing NFC Championship games. I think we've lost 4 or 5 in the past 15 years. So come on, Packers. But yeah, you guys got anything else?
I'm good.
You tell me when to cut it off.
Team stuffed shells.
Team stuffed shells. Tortellini. Jesus fucking Christ.
Hey, tortellini is I'm slotting in above ravioli.
No, I know you like tortellini. I just wanted to end on an angry declaration of tortellini support.
All right. Well, I mean, all in all, we are all talking about adult macaroni and cheese. So
yeah, that's true, I guess. Yeah.
I think everyone wins.
Yeah.